What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ohana Gaming Podcast. I'm joined here with my boy Ottendo
Hello,
and my other boy Willthelemon.
that's me.
So today we're gonna be talking about some gaming stuff, some E3,
Woo!
some other topics. Um, this is our first episode, and so I'm looking forward to have Will and Ottendo on again in future episodes, and maybe some other guests. We'll have to see how everything goes. So to start out, I like to start out with a little icebreaker question. So today's icebreaker question is, what is your earliest gaming memory? I'll start with you, Will.
All right. So the first conscious memory I have is a Thomas the Tank Engine game on Sega Genesis. It was like basically a bunch of mini games. It's like, oh, color in the things with the colors, stuff like that. And I also remember playing Mario on the Game Boy. It was like the 7 coins, 8 coins. It was something coins.
Mm-hmm.
It was that one. So I would say that's my first one. As far as like a definite one, my brother and I definitely played Halo together. In fact, that was like the one game that we really played together. So that was a good memory as well. So there you are. The ice has been
I like
broken.
it. Ottendo, what about you?
So my earliest gaming moment would have to be the original Xbox. So I used to every time it was my birthday or my cousin's birthday, we used to grab our controllers, play Sidewinder and Damnation on Slayer, and Capture the Flag, Oddball as well, a Juggernaut on Halo Combat Evolved, as well as I played on the Nintendo 64 playing Banjo Kazooie and all that. And that actually got me into platforming to begin with. So Banjo Kazooie, and then there was the Game Boy Advance, where I played like Ice Age, Star Wars, the prequel Lego ones, and then there was as well. That's actually pretty much it. That's all I used to play, like some of the original Xbox games, Nintendo 64, Banjo Kazooie, and Mario Kart 64, and that's it.
Very cool. Very cool. Some very classic games. I like
Mm.
it. I think my earliest gaming memory would probably be playing Halo Combat Evolved with my mom and my brother. We'd take turns doing campaign and stuff, and I used to sit there and I would shoot smiley faces into the rocks. Meanwhile, like my mom's out there trying to fight the Covenant and stuff, and I'm over here just being an artist. I also remember really distinctly the launch of Halo 2. My mom was a teacher at the school that I was going to at the time, and on lunch break, she went to GameStop and she had gotten the Steelbook and the game manual, the big Prima's official guide for it, and she brought it to school at lunch, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was just so hyped up. I didn't even get to like we went when we got home from school. We booted up and started playing. It was amazing. So yeah, those were some of my earliest gaming memories. So, speaking of gaming memories, we're about to make some new ones, boys, with all these new games that were announced at E3.
Oh,
So
definitely.
I want to hear. We'll get into the some of the actual showcases in a minute, but I just want to hear y'all's overall thoughts on E3 this year because I know that we didn't have it last year. We had Summer of Games that was kind of spread out, but we kind of went back to the more, you know, 1.5 weeks of solid news. So just what were y'all's overall thoughts of E3 this year? Yeah, you can go ahead and start, Ottendo.
Well, my overall thoughts of E3 was, well, I'd say average, because there were some games there that were there were uh, good. There were some that were bad, and then there were some that were just, yeah, well, I don't know why they were there. But then there were some events that actually were very good and surprisingly very good too, and a few other big hitters as well. But I'd say, in my opinion, I'd rate this like a 5 out of 10.
Solid. What did you think about it, Will?
I definitely agree with that rating. It's for me. E3 had been gone for like a year, and people were expecting more. I personally wasn't. I was like, look, with the funny year, everything was overturned, and so it's just like new things had to happen, new infrastructure, but whatever. Overall, it was fine. I was properly excited a fair bit of the time, and I think that is a decent E3 if I can be excited a little bit. Um, I I would say it's a little CGI trailer, classic CGI cutscene trailer heavy kind of deal, but people also got to realize is like there was a lot of lapse in development because of the big old thing that happened. So
The big C.
the big one. And so yeah, about a 5-6 out of 10. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I thought to be completely honest, I didn't watch but a couple conferences, but I heard a whole lot about certain ones. I heard one was pretty much it was almost like a meeting, like a Zoom
I think that
meeting.
was I think that was like Take Two Interactive.
Yeah,
They were like,
Take-Two.
"Oh, do you
People-
want to be
Yeah,
sick?
yeah.
GTA 6? Nah, dog. You're gonna get
No.
a Zoom seminar and enjoy it."
Yeah, you're gonna get a Zoom meeting. But I know that E3 is really important for the industry, especially for developers. And also other companies that make accessories and things like that. So there are a lot of behind closed door meetings that happen, sort of the more trade show kind of stuff. But for the overall game announcements, I'm still kind of wondering, with so many of these companies doing things on their own and starting to do that, is there really still a place for E3 and the ESA running this thing? Or do you guys think that these companies should just kind of forgo that and just kind of just do their own thing throughout the year?
Who do you want to start?
Whoever wants to jump in.
Oh, whoever wants to jump in, free for all. Okay, I'll go ahead. For me, I'm okay with either way. E3 has always been sort of that benchmark week to be like, okay, here's how good our hardware is sold. Here's the new games that we have for it. It was very investor focused, but now it's definitely very gamer focused for the most part. There's still a little bit of that. We're clearly here for the people that are paying our company to do the thing, but I think what we'll see is a shift from hardware sales to software. I think that will become the new important figure, because in the past it's been like, oh, here's how many Xboxes or many Wiis, and it's like we're at that point where you can get all this stuff digitally and you can play on like PC, as far as Xbox goes, and the cloud. I guess we'll get to that like way later. So yeah, I think either way, it'll be fine. I don't mind, Xbox being like, oh, here's our Xbox Direct or Inside Xbox, but I think they're gonna have to pull a big one in order to keep up with Nintendo on that kind of stuff.
Oh yes.
So that's what I think on that.
What do you think about that, Ottendo?
Yeah, I say I agree with that too. I mean, E3, it's a very important time for gaming and all that. But then, uh, yeah, it's when you compare it, like but people are starting to notice that, or people are starting to flock towards PAX because the E3 of back then isn't the same. Or well, the E3 now isn't the same as the E3 of back then. And it was noticed that now they're shifting more towards, like, other companies are shifting towards streaming or making like a live stream, and that age as well of software, yeah, like exactly what Will said, like software and all that. Like, people will move, the companies will then, I reckon in the future they'll move towards digital, and because of that, the stuff like E3, even though it does hold a special place and all that, and I reckon it'll still continue, but it won't be like what we've been used to for so long. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So say that these companies stopped doing, like, they stopped kind of doing stuff with the ESA and did E3. Do you think that we should still have like a big week that stuff is announced, or do you think that companies should really kind of move towards throughout the year?
Hmm.
Because the advantage for having the whole week is, first of all, all the gaming press can kind of gather together, and everyone can kind of focus on that one week, right? But
Yeah.
if it also allows sort of these companies to get real competitive and kind of to show off their kind of big guns and what's coming for the holiday season, rather than if they do it throughout the year and bombshells are dropping left and right, and the companies are like kind of like, okay, when are we supposed to, when are we supposed to bring our big guns out? So do y'all think that they should still keep to a week or two, or do you think they should just kind of do it whenever?
I reckon a week or two. I reckon that option.
Yeah, I agree with that. And especially because it's that benchmark. It's that okay, okay, employees, or excuse me, family. We're gonna go out here. We got the new Banjo Kazooie Blast Deluxe Edition coming out, and
Ooh.
ooh, and we gotta make sure we got some stuff ready for E3. And so you work up to that and be like, okay, people want to see. Also, E3 is just so established that like, oh, is it Summer Games Fest? I
Mhm.
I didn't honestly, and to be fair, I'm not as plugged in. I could be completely wrong. I didn't hear a thing about it, if I'm honest. Because
Yeah.
like people were like, "Oh, E3," and so
Well, the interesting thing is this year with Summer Games Fest is really, I'm not sure all of how it works, but I think really what Jeff Keighley was doing was more of just trying to organize people to kind of get stuff in within this time period.
Hmm.
Um, because I mean, the thing is technically Xbox showed up at Summer Game Fest and at E3, right? They were listed on both of them, but they really did their own thing. It wasn't like hosted on the ESA channel. It wasn't hosted on the Game Award channel. You know what I'm saying? They did it on
Yeah.
their own thing. So that really kind of begs the question of, if we're sort of moving towards, this really just focused on the reveals and stuff, you know, could E3 just turn into more of an industry thing, and then we sort of have Jeff Keighley running Summer's Games Fest, making sure the reveals all go at one time? Because honestly, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. That's actually I like that idea.
and I know E3 has some controversy? Question mark.
Question
I
mark?
I don't I don't. It's something about the owners, and I am not plugged
Ooh.
into any of that at all. So
Oh,
take
I
this
think I
all with
know
a
what you're
nice
talking
spoonful
about.
of salt,
Wait, what's this
if you
about?
will.
I
Uh,
think there's some shady stuff that went
a
on
little
with
bit
some
of
of the owners.
spooky.
Y'all can do your own
Oh.
independent research on that.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Anybody
Yeah.
listening, I'm just bringing that
Another
up only
time.
to say, if it's not gonna be E3, somebody needs to like pick it up and go with it. And if that's Jeff
Yeah.
Keighley, then that's who it is. But we need
I
to
think
decide: do we
yeah, I
keep it
think
as
Jeff
E3 or does
Keighley
it move on?
I think Jeff Keighley is I mean, he's distanced himself from E3 like a couple years ago, because I think he sort of saw that it was not
Hmm.
going in a great direction. But you know what is going in a good direction?
This podcast?
Xbox.
Oh, well, yeah, too.
We had the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts on that. So we'll start with you, Ottendo. Just give me a quick highlight, quick review, quick other than Halo, because we'll talk about that in a minute. Just tell me some of your thoughts on the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. Also,
All right.
Ottendo has a great video out about it, about his thoughts on that and Halo Infinite. So we'll plug that in the description.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. I was just about to mention that for the Halo section. But yeah, I'll be quick to the chase. The Xbox Bethesda showcase, really loved it. The best thing that's the E3 has showed apart from Nintendo. Uh, a lot of big bangers. The updates, although they are welcome, I wish that they would have been saved for other slots, like other bigger games as well. But I'd say Halo was one of the biggest highlights, and I'd say for this event, I'd give it a 8 out of 10. But my only gripe would be that in that Halo event, they I even said this in the video that after that video, they will say like tune in to the extended multiplayer thing on the Halo thing, the Halo YouTube page. Like they show like a little thing so everyone can look at it and see more updates and if they're interested. But other than that, I absolutely loved it. The Bethesda games that they showed, wish there were more. Some of them, there's only probably two big ones that I've seen so far. It wasn't that great, but the Xbox pretty much killed it this E3, and it has not been that way in a long time. So this is great for Xbox that they've evolved and they actually they're starting to recover from the Xbox One event.
Oh yes, they are recovering from the Don Matrick uh era.
TVs.
Will Will give me your quick kind of impressions, thoughts, highlights, pits.
All right, Bethesda. If you're a Fallout 76 fan, good on you, guy. You're gonna get some stuff. Even if I don't personally care, I get how you feel. I've been a Battlefront 2 fan, so understandable. Starfield, excited, not stoked. I don't know which one would be more extreme, but the ammo counter on the gun, I was like, ooh, that's really cool. And I like the setting. It reminded me a lot of Star Citizen, actually, but you could probably perhaps actually play this one. So, on Starfield, I still have a question mark, but it's also an exclamation point. So there's that. Halo, it was Halo. I guess we're going to be digging right into that in a bit. So I'll save it for that. Overall, I would say Xbox definitely came out and just smacked me in the face saying, listen, bucko, we have money now. Pay attention. And I did. It made me seriously consider buying that Xbox Series S I saw at Best Buy. Because I was
you saw one in the wild.
Yeah, I didn't buy it because I have a PC, so I thought somebody else could enjoy it. So, because I remember back when I saw like Spider-Man revealed, I was like, oh, well, time to get a PS4 now. I don't know why I have this stupid box. Get out of here. Throw it away.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Yeah, and now I'm just like looking at my PS4 Pro and I'm like, you don't have Halo. And so, it's all good. I still like my PlayStation, but they're really leveraging their deals. I mean, when you pay that much for Bethesda, you better freaking use Bethesda, dude. So that's what I gotta say. That's it. That's it for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall Xbox had solid messaging throughout the whole showcase. They started out strong with Starfield and said, "Hey, guess what, boys, girls, everyone? It's exclusive." Sarah Bond was like, "Yes." Sarah Bond just straight up said, "And yes." In case you were wondering, it's exclusive. And I was just like, Sarah Bond, you're goated. But I mean, yeah, I mean they really did that. They were like, hey, pretty much everything on here is on Game Pass, Game Pass Ultimate. Just $15 a month, it's in you got all you can play all these games day one.
Online?
They also
that includes gold as well.
Yeah, it includes online play. The fact that they really were showing a solid pipeline of their games and really showing continued support for their sort of live service model that they're sort of adapting to with games like Grounded and Sea of Thieves. And even the next Forza will probably be similar to that. Because they're kind of doing a whole rebrand thing. But overall, it was really great to see. A couple games I saw that I was just like, I want to jump into that. Party Animals. It looks like Gang Beasts 2. I don't think it's the same developers, but
I thought it was Gang Beasts.
I'm so hyped for that. Flight Simulator coming to Xbox. That comes out a month from the day that we're recording this.
I don't know how they're gonna run that game. I mean, if the best PCs can't run it, I wonder how the Xbox Series X is gonna run it.
Oh, I think it's gonna run it fantastically. But the great thing is that there will be a way to play it on Xbox One, and we'll get into that later in the show. But so I think the big highlight though for everyone was Halo Infinite.
Halo!
they not only did they go completely strong with everything else, and they really showed, hey, we don't need Halo. Halo's not all that we have. But then they
Yeah.
come back with the strongest Halo in 10 years. So, real quick, what was your favorite thing that you saw? Your favorite moment in the Halo Infinite reveal? We'll start with Ottendo.
Why are you doing this to me? There's so many things. I can't pick one. I can't pick one. But if I'd say for me, probably out of all of them, I'd say the battle pass system. Surprisingly,
Mm-hmm.
like this one, it's not only that it is really good, that this is actually now becoming to be a trendsetter. Because I remember Halo used to be a trendsetter, but with the previous 343 games, they just started to follow a trend of other games. But now Infinite is starting to create a new trend that other shooters are willing to implement. And that's a great thing, not only for Halo and shooters in general, but for gaming in general too.
I
That's my favorite
agree.
part about it.
I agree. So for y'all who don't know out there, the Halo Infinite Battle Pass will never expire, and you can buy it at any time. And you can also buy previous battle passes at any point. So say we're 5 seasons in and you never got the first battle pass, you can just go in and pop it in and then choose to put your progression towards that pass. If you've ever played the Master Chief Collection, it'll be similar to that system, just in a paid form. So that's a very cool thing I'm looking forward to.
Hmm.
Not having to worry about my battle pass, expiring if maybe I don't have time to play the game at a certain moment. But Will, what was your favorite thing that you saw,
Yeah.
or any thoughts on the battle pass?
Piggybacking off of you real quick before I get into it. It's the multiplayer is free to play. They're gonna have to monetize it somehow, and we should be glad it's this instead of loot boxes. So before
Yeah.
anyone,
Yes.
I can hear you. I hear the keyboard typing guy. I hear you. But just understand, if you're gonna have monetization, which you need for the company and for the employees to succeed, that's a really good way to do it. And the fact that Fortnite
Yes.
and Apex players are wondering why they don't have that, they're pointing the finger at the company saying, "Hey guy, why don't you do that? That sounds so much better."
Exactly.
That is a net positive. So that's what I have to say about that. As far as Halo, man, it's really between just seeing Joseph Staten on the stage and
Go ahead,
also
Joseph
that
Staten.
moment in the multiplayer, because with the campaign, I like the campaign. I'm sure it's gonna be pretty good. Even I was a little bummed that we didn't see a little bit of gameplay, but it's just how it is.
Yeah.
But multiplayer is what sold me. That moment when the dude grapples up and just headshots the guy, and you get Jeff Stites going no scope. Like, that was epic. Oh, I liked that. That just
And
made my
also
heart
the
flutter.
and the hijacking of the Wasp with the grapple shot. Oh, that was awesome.
Grapple Jack.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
I think honestly, all right, I love the multiplayer stuff, but I think one of my favorite things was, that whole campaign segment, dude. Oh
Oh
my
yes.
goodness. Like
Oh,
when
Yeah,
it
it was
started,
good.
it panned up and you
Mwah.
saw like the Marines, and then you saw Marines that were like captured, and you had a bandage patrol around it. There was a flare. You could see all that stuff. And
The
then all of a
Bungie
sudden,
Pelican.
yeah, it goes and then it
Bungie.
goes straight into Master Chief, like continuing the very first cutscene of the game. So like um or what I think was, I'm pretty sure it was,
Yeah,
he's
it was a
jumping
follow
out,
up.
he's going around, and then just like that music, and you could see like dents in his armor, and he's all battered up, and then of course the weapon.
Yes.
The weapon.
Oh yes. Yes,
Yes.
our
Nah, it's
queen,
Cortana.
our queen.
I saw people who were like really confused. I was like, dude, she gives you this huge exposition dump, okay?
Yeah, I'm sitting
I
here
know.
and
If
I'm
you
like,
can't follow
yeah,
it because you're screaming or something, just listen for like literally a second, and then I think you'll get it. Sorry, I
Yeah.
don't mean to be mean. I'm stowing it.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
stowing it away.
We're all
we're
friendly
Halo
here.
fans. We don't know how to listen, read,
But come
or comprehend
on.
anything.
We're all in
Well,
Ohana.
But yes, very excited for Halo. Very looking forward to playing it. Also, we got flights coming up soon. they're pushing it so
Yes.
much on Twitter. So we're
Yeah.
gonna be playing this game before you know it. So
Oh.
Coming.
yes, Xbox and Bethesda showcase, in my opinion, overall W. You know, it was W box for a day. You know, no L's, in my opinion. But moving on, another big showcase was the Nintendo Direct, and
Ooh, yes.
this was the first. I mean, we had a Nintendo Direct not too long ago, but I mean, this was the
Yeah.
first like big substantial Nintendo Direct
Yeah.
since 2019 really. So
I have opinions.
yeah, so let's start. Will said he had opinions, so let's start with you, Will. What were your opinions on this showcase overall?
Okay, before I start, you gotta understand, a lot of the stuff I'm gonna say is an opinion of mine. If you're a fan of these games, more power to you. Glad you're getting some love. Big understandable. But a monkey ball, all right, okay. I'll bite. I'll bite into that one. Understandable. I'm a big Zelda boy. Halo and Zelda compete for the top spot on my list every single day from my friends, every day. And the amount of gameplay we got for Breath of the Wild, I think, was enough. I was a little bit disturbed when I heard that was all for the 35th the anniversary of Zelda.
Yeah.
Had me a little spooked, for sure. I was like, really? You're gonna give us a Game & Watch? I mean, it has Link's Awakening. I like Link's Awakening. But you're giving us Skyward Sword, which arguably is a very divisive game. And I certainly have my issues and my positives with it, but I think that was a big thing for me. Like when Metroid, and I'm not a big 2D Metroid guy, but I definitely loved the vibe I was getting from Dread, and I might have to start playing Metroid again. I might have to. But overall,
In fact,
it was fine. I think Xbox did better, but I have my issues with Nintendo in general and how they chose to do the Zelda stuff. So that's my thoughts. There you go. You can take that to the bank, cash it.
yeah. It's
I'll
been
tell you, you can
received.
go and jump in there.
Oh, yes, I will join in. As a lover of Nintendo, I would say I definitely agree with Will. There were some big things, but Xbox was still better. Zelda, I've never even played a Zelda game in my life, and even I know that they could have handled the 35th anniversary, 35th, mind you, and they could have handled that a bit better. I mean, the Game & Watch is a nice touch and all that, and a few other sports, but I reckon what would have been better while you're waiting for Breath of the Wild 2 was to do like a Mario 3D All-Star style, except for that limited thing. That was stupid, but make all the Zelda games from Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess, and that'll be
I'd pay
all those
$70
games in
for that
pack.
one.
That's
I would
worth
too.
that much, or 60 or something. Still, I don't get the 70 thing, but anyways.
Well, I'm saying they could charge a stupid price and I'd probably pay it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Metroid, I'm also not a 2D Metroid person. I do love it. The fact that they've actually added the robots from Metroid Dread, that was actually pretty cool. I love that. It was actually from the Metroid Prime games, those robots, believe it or not.
That's
Yeah,
how
they
much
were
I don't
actually
know.
in there. Yeah, so that was a little neat touch to the whole thing. And then there were few extra stuff in there that I didn't care too much about. The Shin Tem, whatever that word
Shin
is, that
Megami
was a good
Tensei.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That
Still
one,
not
definitely.
Persona 5, but okay.
Yeah. Because like that game was still being made even when the Switch came out, and finally got some news on that, so that was actually good. Then there was Breath of the Wild 2. That looked pretty good too, but yeah, overall I'd say this wasn't the best, but this was a good one. It could have been better. Plus
I
no
agree.
Pokemon. That made me upset.
I think for me, I was watching it kind of while I was at work. I kind of just had it on, like glancing over. Started it at lunch and then kept watching it. Um, I thought it was really interesting that, Metroid Dread. Evidently, I'm reading here. Evidently, it's the conclusion of the 5-part saga that began with the original Metroid, and it's the first Metroid since 2002. You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of crazy to think about, especially since Metroid is such a big one. And think about all of the Metroidvania games that have come out in the past, since then, with games like Hollow Knight, Dead Cells, like all of these different games. And here we have, the one that started it all kind of finally coming back. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see if they do any, if this is supposed to be a conclusion. If they go back to 2D and Metroid, what are they going to do? Is it going to be a kind of spin off, a new kind of story, new character? That'll be kind of interesting to look at. I think a big standout for me, though, was the Mario Party Superstars. Because
Oh yes.
having
Yeah.
Mario Party, Super Mario Party was alright, but they didn't have online play for a while, and like you had to use the Joy-Con. And honestly, even though I'm careful in my house, most of the Joy-Con in my house drift. So it's just not a good time. It's really not a good time.
Yeah, dude.
So
Yeah.
just seeing that gets me excited. I definitely want, if all y'all get it, I definitely want to have some Mario Party nights in the Discord. So we can,
Yeah.
even if like I want it where we have enough people where we got to do like 2 different chats where we have 2 different Mario Party games going on. I think that'd be very fun.
They really would.
Advance Wars is interesting. They revisited that.
I should have brought that up because I actually
if it
really do
wasn't-
like
Yeah.
Advance Wars.
If it wasn't full price, I might pick it up and try it. I just, with Game Pass and, me just not playing my Switch that much, I just haven't been spending that much money on games. I think the only game I'm really gonna buy this year is gonna be Mario Party, and if they have a Legendary Edition of Halo, and that'll probably be all I buy this year, to be honest. But
Halo CE for Switch, please, and thank you.
yes,
Yes.
Halo CE,
Or MCC in
um,
general.
Halo CE for Switch, please and thank you.
Yeah, I feel like they could get away with just doing CE, and people be
Hey.
like, "Oh,
Why stop there?
But-
Why not just put MCC on the Switch?
Well, funny you bring that up. That kind of goes into our next topic, which is cloud gaming. So we wanted
Hey!
to play
gaming."
Hey.
MCC on Switch, all right?
Oh no.
There's a possibility that if Xbox and Nintendo, could figure something out, we'd have Game Pass through xCloud on Switch. I'm kind of skeptical that would happen just from a business standpoint, but it's still a possibility, and I think it's a good conversation to bring up. Sort of start thinking about the future of gaming. So for those who don't know, cloud gaming is something that's sort of kind of really taking shape more recently. It's something that's kind of started a while ago, but hasn't really been that feasible. And pretty much how it works is just like with Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, where you stream movies, you don't own them, you don't have them anywhere. They just come from the cloud, just like YouTube as well. With cloud gaming, how it would work is, say you wanted to play a game and on your computer or your phone or whatever, you hit a button and it starts that game up in a server somewhere, and then it will process the game within that server with that hardware, and it will stream down the video signal and audio signal to your device, and then it will also send up your controller inputs. So with like Xbox games and xCloud, or what they're calling is cloud gaming with Xbox, I still think xCloud kind of has more of a ring to it, but
Yeah.
they're using, Xbox hardware and playing it on the cloud. And Xbox has really been taking off with this and really kind of pushing it as sort of, right now they're sort of pushing it as a secondary way to play, especially with including it with Game Pass Ultimate. But I think in the future they're looking at it for a primary way to game for a lot of casual gamers. So, what do you guys kind of think about that concept? And what are some of your kind of worries and what are some of optimisms? I want to hear from Ottendo first.
From the oh, sorry, could you repeat the question again?
What are your thoughts on cloud gaming and what are some of your kind of worries or concerns about sort of the whole thing?
Well, I probably would say, oh, I'm honestly excited. I'm happy for it because I'm really enjoying Game Pass and all that stuff. I love the fact that it saved me so much money. Like from as much as I'd spend like a $70 game, I could get like 3 or 4 games that much and save just as much for like almost a year, and that's a plus for me. But probably my biggest worries would be like less and less physical copies. I love physical copies. I mean, limited editions are really awesome. They're nice touch, and as well, there could be a little situation like the original Kingdom Hearts 2 that the original file for that was almost missing. I almost missed like the one from the PlayStation that was going to disappear forever until like they had the PC version that was stuck on there. But how do I?
So like
Yeah,
games preservation.
yeah, games preservation. I reckon that's probably could be a bit of a worry. But yeah, I reckon I'm obviously I'm not very negative with the whole moving to digital thing because I'm all for it. I mean, it's cool. I like it. So far, I've been getting positives from it.
Very cool. Will, what are your thoughts on sort of the digital future as well as cloud gaming and your concerns and optimisms about it?
Yeah. So, to speak on game preservation, I definitely feel like, not having the game, it's gonna be more up to the devs of the game and the companies they work for to just like preserve the living butt out of it. Just have backups on backups, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I have a lot of digital games. I play primarily on PC, so like I don't have a disk drive. I use Steam. My Switch is pretty much for the most part all digital.
Yeah.
But, and the games that I have on the shelf are ones that I've wanted to keep physical and want to make sure I have. Now, as far as cloud goes, I started messing with it when I was like, oh, it'd be really sick to hook up my Razer Kishi to my phone and play the funny Halo game in bed. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of not very fun. I'm getting these really bad like lag and everything. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try it on my PC. It's plugged into Ethernet. Like I think, Johan, you and I were playing some Halo 5 on cloud just because. And it was funny. It was fine for a while. And then it suddenly just wasn't. Like, I'm a PC gamer. I play Rainbow Six Siege with keyboard and mouse, dude. Latency's a big thing for me. And so, like, I'm turning the stick to go shoot a guy, and it just snaps like 90 degrees for no reason. And that bugs the absolute, crap out of me. So it's just like, okay, there's a lot going on here. Google Stadia soured a lot of people because when they started launching, they were like, oh, we're not really gamers, though, but we're going to act like we are. And I was like, no. Be honest. Like, just come out there and sell. Like, you haven't done anything. Amazon, I feel like, could be a very big player, especially they already have Amazon AWS Cloud, and, they've been doing that for longer than Google has.
They run like most of the internet. If Amazon Web Services goes down, most of the internet goes down.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they scale up their servers during the holidays. They scale them back. It's all about that cloud elasticity. I'm saying this because I work for a cloud company, essentially. So
we got the insider knowledge right here.
So if you ask me, like, cloud gaming's great, but especially like Ottendo, I know sometimes we talk about Australian internet. Well, how is that going to get to you? Like, I would, if I had some hopes and thoughts to give, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, I would say make these kits Like I have an Ethernet adapter for my Nintendo Switch. I've tried playing the cloud version of like Control or Hitman 3. It ain't very fun. I'm just gonna tell you right now. And if they started selling a kit, right? So say you sign up for the xCloud service with Game Pass, or like you go to your Best Buy and they have like a little plastic pack that's like an Ethernet adapter for, your computer or something. And then it comes with a card for Game Pass.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Actually,
Or, if Nintendo starts getting buddy with Microsoft and they put xCloud on there, make a nice red and green box for Nintendo Switch. Here's your little cloud kit and maybe a controller.
Now that you bring it up, Will, xCloud isn't really available in Australia at all. We can't even get it.
Well, there's another thing right there, availability. I think during this last year, companies have had to scale to cloud more so than ever. Having on-prem services is great until it costs quite a lot to run them. And so I think we're going to see some scalability as well. More availability just needs to happen. And, I don't live in a very big metropolitan area. I don't live in downtown. I don't have I have good internet. I don't have like gigabit internet. So like I'm able to stream. Like I've been watching Scooby-Doo on Netflix today. That ran perfectly fine on my PS4 using Wi-Fi. But I guarantee you, if I tried doing Halo 5 on my PC with Wi-Fi, it would not be a fun time. So it's that optimization that all the companies need to work on. I think that's going to be a big thing. So that's my thoughts.
I think so too. I think really Microsoft takes the smart approach by not really making it like the only way to play and making it or trying to make it a primary way to play, because they know that the tech is only just kind of getting where it's somewhat bearable, Like even though there are a lot of issues, I think a couple years ago we wouldn't have been able to get to this point.
We laughed at it. We were laughing.
Yeah.
Like, Lamau, you would have thought, dude.
Yeah, and Microsoft's really big into the Azure cloud and trying to build that out.
Yeah.
I think honestly, Japan has pretty high speed internet, right? Just kind of all around.
I thought it was like they do have decent internet, but because of the old thing that happened, they had to retool it a lot because a lot of people went to work. That's what you did. You went to work. You didn't work from home.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing is it's not like US where you'll have like these really metropolitan areas and then you'll have like dial up. It's pretty consistently speedy over there. Honestly, I think that this could be a good way for Xbox to really get into the Japanese market, because they've had an real issue with getting into the Japanese market. And I think once they get the tech solid, right, and they get it where it's really reliable, and 5G is put out a lot more areas. I really think that this is when this thing's going to take off, especially in places like Japan. And if they would probably have to change how they price it and everything in Japan, because trying to sell it where it's just on the your primary thing is xCloud, I feel like it would be they'd have to figure it out. But I feel like that's how they can get their foot in the door there. And once the internet speeds sort of keep and cellular speeds start increasing all around, and the tech just because it's still in beta, the tech just keeps increasing. I think cloud gaming is going to be a way that a lot of casual people interact with gaming, and you still have your hardcore dedicated market, but it's just one more market to tap into. Just like Xbox decided, well, we can, our consoles are pretty much just, little PCs. Why not put our games on PC too?
Especially when they own the Windows platform.
Yeah.
So it's not so much of a loss.
I find it interesting when I was watching the Nintendo Direct, there was that Guardians of the Galaxy game. And I was watching it, and I'm like, I swear I thought they were going to announce a Switch Pro, because I'm like, these graphics look like normal, like they look good. And then I hear later I hear later that it's a cloud only game, and that kind of brings up the question: do they need to label these a little bit more? Because
They
honestly, it
had
was
a
just
very
fine print at the bottom.
small, yeah, they had a very
Just
small
fine print at
fine
the
print.
bottom.
You had to look at it, but I mean, look, you're looking at Star Lord smacking a dude, and so you're like looking at that. You're looking at the game, what's being presented to you.
That's how they get you.
Yeah,
Read
and
the
then
fine print.
they're like, oh, it's actually cloud though, because we're not gonna build better hardware. But sorry, excuse me, too much negative.
No,
You're good. But
honestly,
go ahead.
honestly, if they are to release a Switch Pro, I reckon the best game to truly show how powerful or how great it is Metroid Prime 4. I reckon that game should definitely demonstrate what the Switch Pro can do.
Yeah, for sure.
I
For
agree.
sure. Because like Mario
So-
Odyssey already looks good. Because I've been thinking about that. Just like a really updated, like very nice looking ray traced. Because Nvidia chip runs it. So I was under
Yeah.
the impression that it was like, okay, they would use some Nvidia trickery, the AI upscaling along with DLSS. You put just a dab of ray tracing in there, and maybe make it so you can turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was going to be our natural progression, because it's like they clearly want to stick in this sort of tablet format, which is fair. When I got my Switch, I didn't take out the dock, guy. I stayed up till 5 a.m. playing in my bed, handheld in the tablet in my bed.
Yep.
So like, it's always been like shout out to Late Night Gaming on his cloud video. But I had the same idea. I was like, hey, I want to play Halo in bed. I want to play GTA 5 in bed. Use Steam Link. And it's like, it works mostly. It gets you there, I think GeForce Now has really been my only decent cloud experience from Nvidia. And I think, more companies that can follow that and really, be like, okay, we're really shifting towards software sales as well as hardware. Because I mean, look, I can't even get a PS5. I can't get an Xbox.
Yeah, no one can really.
So it's
Yeah.
like, you have the cloud, and so maybe you want to get an Xbox, but for now it's fine to jump in the cloud, play Fortnite with the boys, and then get your Xbox later. Something like that. Or you're watching TV with the family, you're watching a zombie movie or whatever. Those are popular again.
Yeah.
And then, all teenage Tommy and the boys finish the movie, and then, with their Chromecast, they can hop into Destiny 2 and do a strike or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they get in the mood with the zombies and are like, hey, let's play some Back for Blood on day one on Game Pass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know that
Yeah.
Xbox too, they said, which this has been speculated, and I was already telling people about it before it was announced. I was like, they're going to be doing this, just watch. They're going to be integrating xCloud into TVs. They've already been
Yeah.
talking with TV manufacturers, and
with a streaming
also
stick.
doing a dedicated streaming stick. And also, to bring us back to what I was saying earlier, is they're also integrating it into console. So Xbox One as well as Series X and Series S can play games before you download them, but also the older hardware can play games like Flight Simulator through streaming.
Yeah. Because that's another
Yeah.
thing. If you're really holding on to that VCR, dude, then hey, maybe pop in an Ethernet cable, And again, I'm thinking, have a kit at the store that people can physically buy that they don't have to go online for. I think that's a big thing. Is like, I want to go stroll into Best Buy. Xbox is like, hey, here's our Xbox streaming kit. Here's you with the little stick or, a box reminiscent of like the Amazon Fire Cube. Stick it on there, plug her in. It comes with the Bluetooth Xbox controller. There you go. You're gaming. You're gaming.
Honestly,
hopefully.
I'd buy it.
Yep. I think if they do a stick or a cube, they better integrate Ethernet into there. Otherwise, you're going to hear from
Apple
me.
TV or something.
Yeah, you'll be hearing from me. I'll be back. Microsoft, I'll be back. You'll be hearing from me. We'll crawl in there.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the next generation will just all be digital consoles or something like the streaming services. I reckon in the future that definitely might happen. Mostly.
Yeah.
Like they see how profitable streaming and all that is, and
I can only hope it's good enough by then.
I feel
Yeah.
like personally, we're not going to see. I don't know if we'll ever get to a streaming only future, but I do think the digital only future is coming
Yeah.
real soon. But streaming will be a lot bigger of a player into it. But just
Yeah.
because of the interactive nature of gaming, um, like rather than something like music or movies, I can't see them really keeping it where it would just be streaming only. But I do think that we're getting real close to a digital only future.
Yeah.
And I would shout out again. Same Token did a video about preserving Halo, and
Mhm.
he did talk
Yeah.
about games in general as well. I
And
mean,
also
the
what I said
fact,
too.
yeah, and the fact that MCC might one day be emulated on a computer, like what we're
Yeah.
playing now. Down the line when I'm an old somebody, something, I'll be
An
doing
old
something
lemon.
probably, and it'll get to the point where it's like, oh, I'm gonna grab my ARM chip computer not made by Microsoft or something and be playing like MCC. We're gonna get to that point, but I think the problem is, and I know Xbox. I don't know if you guys watch Modern Vintage Gamer. Oh, again, another one of those.
Mhm.
No.
He covered a very interesting little problem that the Xbox has, the new ones.
Oh, is
It's
it
a
the
little,
like the
little
DRM?
DRM issue, baby. And that's where I'm like, okay, we
Ooh.
can't have these issues. We can't have that going forward. It's just not acceptable.
Yeah.
Like if I get
Here's-
my streaming box, I buy the game. Let's say they have a library where you can buy the game for like $60. I expect to be able to play that game no matter what. I own it.
Mm.
And if I see that little screen pop up saying, "Oh, you don't have the license," oh boy, I fear the Microsoft rep I talked to that day.
I
You know, I
agree.
love.
I have one quick question and then we're gonna have to wrap it up. So I'm
Yep.
gonna leave y'all with this. Um, with in the terms of game preservation, um, I know that in the US, the Library of Congress, they have something that they do to preserve like arts in movies and music, where they, will request like the masters or like a version of it, like a film reel or whatever, to keep preserve important pieces of media. Do
Yeah.
you think that they should start doing that for video games, and how would that even work?
Hmm.
I
That's.
I think absolutely, and quite frankly, it's about
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, I think it's just like how there's different movie studios, like and even like cable companies like NBC, Comcast, whatever. It's one of those things where they're gonna have to be like, hey, nice game you got there. You need to make sure that's backed up so that we have it preserved.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you have all the people who are like, oh, well, video games aren't art. You just shoot the man in the head, and that's the end. Like
That is
that's
wrong.
that's unfortunately still a prevailing thing. Luckily, not nearly as much anymore. Um, but that's just when this generation needs to be interested. Doing civic duties in general, and maybe we get people who feel the same way up on that podium to be like, hey, this is considered art and it should be treated
Yeah.
as such and should be preserved and such. So I think that's just a time thing, and hopefully it won't be too late. So there you go.
Yeah. And that'd be my opinion as well. Like the same as Will. That's exactly what I think. That's nothing much I could say about it.
I think so too. I think it needs to happen because you know, I don't want to lose my banjo kazooie. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to lose my
No, I don't
Yeah,
want
CE.
to either.
I don't want a future where the only way I can play these games is a janked up version.
or
Just
like they
like
sit here
George
forever.
Lucas Star Wars.
Oh, oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. If y'all interesting story, if y'all want to look that up. George Lucas, when they started doing the films, the notable films, that made a big cultural impact,
Yeah.
that was on the first lineup of films to be preserved, and George Lucas
Oh.
sent them like the 1997 anniversary edition that had all the
Mhm.
bad
The
CGI
changes.
and stuff and changes
Yeah.
and Greedo shot first and all that. And to this day, Star Wars is still not being preserved by the Library of Congress because they didn't send them the original version.
Now, to be fair,
So-
it's not the new Blu-ray ones.
Yeah.
True. Or the Disney Plus McLuckley or whatever. McLuckley. Anyway,
All
All right,
Anyway,
we
that's
wrap that
all
up
we've
for
got.
you. Ooh.
yeah, that's all we've got for today, fellas, ladies.
Yep.
So y'all have any closing thoughts before we go?
Gaming.
Yes, gaming. I do
Yes.
want to do this again. This is fun. Again,
Oh yes.
hey, albeit some technical difficulties, we did it. We did it, fellas.
Yeah.
We
did
did
it.
it.
We're here.
We did, boys.
Yeah.
Episode 2, I'm looking forward to. And also, again, I'll say it again. Nothing worth starting starts smooth. You got to get
Oh,
there.
yes.
So,
For those of you who made it this long, we recorded about 30 minutes into it. We recorded all the way to the Halo portion, and then Ottendo's
PC
had
crashed.
some technical difficulties.
yeah, hey, it
crashed.
happens. It happens.
I
though.
couldn't
That's
believe
how it
it.
is.
But we powered through. We made it, and we're excited for what the future will bring. So with that being said, goodbye, fellas, ladies.
Goodbye.
Be good, be kind, and
And be an Ohana.
Stay off of Twitter. If you got a hot
Yes.
take, don't go on Twitter, please. It'll just
yeah,
make
if you got a hot take, tell it to your dog, your cat, your grandma.
Your bird.
Unless they're kind of mean to you, they could be
Yeah.
on Twitter. Anyway, see
All right.
y'all next time.
All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.